What's up, guys? It is Friday, December 16th, and it is 11 a.m., and this is the deep dive. And I came across Darren Moore's video the other day, and there was a clip in here that stood out to me heavy, and it has to do with the Holy Grail of cross-border payments. And if you haven't already seen that video that I did on the Holy Grail of cross-border payments, I said the title is The Holy Grail, the elites call it, confirmation that XRP is an opportunity of 1,000 lifetimes, because it 100% is. And if you haven't watched this video, after you watch this, it's going to wake you up to that fact. So I will link that in the bio of this video so you can go back and watch that first and then come back to this video. And if you haven't already, subscribe, tick the notification bell, get updated in real time when I release these. But all right, let's play this video from Darren Moore, that clip.
Now a major advocate for crypto innovation. She argues that the federal and having
create a single pool of liquidity
that are acts like the eCash Act being proposed to keep the CBDC as anonymous as cash. If the USA were to go down this road, they would look to nations like Switzerland that are already trial running their CBDC with CMIX. CMIX is a mixing network that's used for the XX network.
Was really to create a single pool of liquidity. And in fact, that's not even a novel idea for digital asset people. We have been, as an industry, looking for this single pool of liquidity and a global collateral pool. So in liquidity, you think about cash, and in a global collateral pool, you think about all your assets as well. This has been like the Holy Grail for the longest time, because whilst we've got relatively effective security settlement systems, payment systems, it's a bit of a disjointed mess. Each individual piece is separate and they don't link up particularly well.
So he's saying that single pool of liquidity, that deep liquidity pool, and we've been covering it in our videos for the past months now, would be the Holy Grail. And he talks about the fragmented financial system in its current form and how that single pool of liquidity would really give the system an upgrade. It would level it up. So let's keep going.
So
the banking industry has been talking about the benefits of a single pool of liquidity for a while now. Ripple CTO David Schwartz has talked about tapping into public pools of liquidity in several interviews. Pretty soon, the Automated Market Maker, or AMM, is going to be voted on and available to the XRP ledger. The AMM is going to allow everyone to contribute liquidity to this network. Ripple has worked from the top down and made partnerships with large banks. The XRP community will be able to stake liquidity for one large open source of liquidity. The RippleNet partners will have the option to use this single liquidity pool. And a while back, there was a patent that came out called Xpool.
All right, and then so now we can look up Xpool and we can look at that, because we have a couple things. We have Ripple's Liquidity Hub. We have Xpool from Ripple as well too, that old patent. Let's look at it. Ripple Xpool explained. This is back in August of 2017, 5 years ago. Xpool is a trademark that Ripple owns but has not yet publicized. What's the purpose? Let's begin with this tweet by Ryan Fugger. He's sharing the GitHub code for everything that's needed to bootstrap the inner ledger and getting serious volumes of money moving on it. Create a ledger and connect it to the inner ledger. This should be trademarked. That's where it starts, the pool of liquidity. Joel Katz has stated that 2018 is the year of decentralization for Ripple. My prediction is that 2018 is the year in which users create their own ledger and then connect it to the interledger, becoming their own bank accounts and build out Ripple's decentralized concept. This is the year that banks are already connected to the interledger, and when mass adoption takes place in the form of users creating their own decentralized ledgers to utilize within their bank of choice, thus finalizing the X pool of receipts for recipients for XRP. Finally, the utility of XRP sees a greater spotlight and becomes a denominator it was designed to be in this financial equation. I've reserved the right to review and reassess my opinions based off it. Okay, so that was a little kind of spiel on Xpool and what it was. And now we have Ripple's Liquidity Hub and how Ripple has on-demand liquidity, which is XRP. Ripple Liquidity Hub for the enterprise. The world is fast moving towards a crypto-first future, one in which every company will have a strategy for how to leverage crypto, tokenized assets, smart contracts, and more to transfer value and fuel a rising tide of global digital transactions and commerce. Liquidity. The ability to instantly, seamlessly, and affordably exchange assets is the key to turning this vision for a bold new future into reality. There we go. So a crypto liquidity platform. To enable this, they revealed their plans for Ripple's liquidity hub. There we go. So now we got the backdrop. So we can see that they're continuing to talk about this Holy Grail. And if we dive into that now, so we have the actual document from the ECB August 2022 towards the Holy Grail of cross-border payments. And it tells you a little abstract. The Holy Grail of cross-border payments is a solution allowing cross-border payments to be immediate, cheap, universal, and settled in a secure settlement medium. The search for such a solution is as old as international commerce and the implied need to pay. Thousands of years they've been trying to solve this problem. This paper describes current visions how to eventually find this Holy Grail within the next decade, namely through modernized correspondent banking, emerging cross-border fintech solutions, Bitcoin, global stablecoins, interlinked instant payment systems with foreign exchange conversion layer, and interlinked CBDC with foreign exchange conversion layer. For each, settlement mechanics are explained and an assessment is provided on its potential to be the Holy Grail for cross-border payments. Several solutions are suitable for improving cross-border payments significantly, and some could even be the Holy Grail. So this is what stuck out to me. And interlinking a payment system infrastructures, international interlinking of payment infrastructures. This document is from 2016, and I shared it in my last deep dive from yesterday. And you can see that the verbiage, even back from 2016, is matching up to what we are seeing in 2022. It's been planned for so long, guys. You can see that that's the case here. All the same terminology. And you can even see that that terminology is important, and they kind of have this hidden agreement, but as far as the terminology goes, because this is from the Federal Reserve website. This is 2022, July 14, 2022, fit for purpose payment system interoperability, a framework. And then if you go down here, it even says kind of step by step what they need to do. And it says adopt common terminology. The payment instruments embodying the ability to spend any type of stablecoin could be compatible with the components that must store, accept, and handle them. Wherever possible, consistent message formats and the use of data as well as identifiers to allow components to differentiate between currencies. Okay, so that's never mind. That's not talking about terminology in the sense of words that they use, but more of the payment messaging formats. And that's where ISO comes in. So we'll go into that into the next deep dive. But let's go back to this document, because in here, it talks about international interlinking of payment system infrastructures, just like here, the interlinked instant payment systems with foreign exchange conversion layer and interlinked CBDC with foreign exchange conversion layer. So I'm going to look this up. So this is what we got. Interlinking of payments. This is in the Holy Grail of cross-border payments. So this is on page 51 out of 59. So it's towards the end. And towards the end of this document is where they go into their opinion as far as what could be the most possible in the ability of obtaining the Holy Grail status. And they said, can interoperable CBDC with central foreign exchange conversion layer be the Holy Grail of cross-border payments? This solution shares many advantages of the interlinking of payment systems. Monetary sovereignty is preserved. It is even somewhat simpler than the interlinking on instant payment systems. So they're saying that this is the Holy Grail right here. If we go down, you can see the conclusions, and it says the Holy Grail whereby cross-border payments can be immediate. So we already know what it would be. It says this is thanks to the rapid decline in the cost of global electronic data transmission and computer processing, new payment system technology allowing for instant payments, innovative concepts such as the interlinking of payment systems, including a currency conversion layer or CBDC, and unprecedented political will and global collaboration like the G20 work on enhancing cross-border payments. The review of various visions as how to achieve the Holy Grail suggests that Bitcoin is the least credible. Straight out of the horse's mouth. Stablecoins, traditional correspondent banking, and cross-border fintechs take an intermediary place, so they're the in-between. But many all contribute to improvement over the next years. May all contribute to improvement over the next years. From a public policy perspective, stablecoins appear somewhat more problematic than the other two options as they aim at deep closed-loop solutions, market power, and fragmentation. two solutions: the interlinking of domestic instant payment systems and future central bank digital currencies, both with the competitive foreign exchange conversion layer, may have the highest potential to deliver the Holy Grail for larger cross-border payment corridors, as they combine technical feasibility, relative simplicity in their architecture, and maintaining a competitive and open architecture by avoiding the dominance of a small number of market participants who would eventually exploit their market power. Moreover, monetary sovereignty is preserved and the crowding out of local currencies is avoided due to the foreign exchange conversion layer at the border, which does not hold for Bitcoin and global stablecoins. Interlinking of domestic payment systems would also perform well in terms of preserving the universal reach of correspondent banking, although of course only for the payment areas that are actually interlinked. However, a number of challenges need to be addressed to set up these solutions, such as the organization of an efficient competitive foreign exchange conversion layer conducted to a narrow bid-ask spreads applying to the foreign exchange conversion. So meaning that it has deep liquidity. So whereas the spreads of these currencies against each other are very narrow and there's not much slippage. Then you have the global addressability of accounts, achieving the same degree of legal certainty for interlinked cross-currency payments as for domestic payments, including in the case of default of a party. And then they go into the wrap up here. The last page. Finally, all solutions require the strong progress is made on the anti-money laundering and CFT, currency, combating of financial terrorism. Okay, there we go. Compliance side to ensure straight through processing for the large majority of cross-border payments. The recognition and the importance of this issue is illustrated by the significant number of building blocks devoted by the G20 to regulatory and compliance issues of cross-border payments, and also the Nexus initiative of the BIS recognizes the importance of such progress, particularly for interlinked solutions. None of these challenges are unresolvable, and for larger cross-border payment corridors with significant volumes and sufficient political will, both interlinking solutions should be feasible and efficient. For smaller corridors, fixed setup costs may be too high, or the political or legal preconditions may not be fulfilled. For those, a modernized correspondent banking or solutions relying on fintechs with presence in both jurisdictions will likely remain good and flexible solutions that can contribute significant improvements. Also, for large corridors, these two solutions may play an important role for the coming years, and the interlinking solutions still need to prove that they can deploy their advantages relative to them. Ranking two solutions at the top raises the questions whether central banks in the industry should really work on both, the interlinking of domestic payment systems and future CBDCs, or whether only one should be selected and the other be dismissed to save on investment costs and focus all efforts towards implementing the Holy Grail as soon as possible. A number of arguments speak in favor of developing both solutions. First, there are synergies between the two in the sense that organizing competitive foreign exchange conversion layers is instrumental for both, as well as solving issues of international addressability of accounts, be it in commercial bank money or CBDC, persons and firms. Second, some foreign exchange and cross-border payment corridors are so large that they can easily support two solutions, and the eventual efficiency of cross-border payments will benefit further from the competition between two approaches. Third, for some cross-border payment corridors, only one solution may eventually prevail, but this could be one or the other. And in view of the many cross-border payment corridors, it is favorable to have two fully efficient solutions available who can compete to become the solution for specific smaller corridors. There we go. That's where Stellar and Ripple are kind of head to toe against each other. Who can become the main solution? Whoever can't then becomes the smaller corridor solution for the interlinking of these payment systems. Because just like how Ripple has Interledger, Stellar has Interstellar. And that deserves a deep dive. So I forgot about that for a sec, but that definitely deserves a deep dive. We need to get updated on that as far as Stellar goes. So therefore, forceful work on both should continue, whereby for CBDC, much of the energy of central banks will obviously be absorbed first for deploying them for domestic retail payments. Central banks should nevertheless keep in mind that CBDCs will eventually be expected to make its contribution to efficient cross-border payments with foreign exchange conversion and discuss at a relatively early stage the related interoperability issues. In the meantime, they should support and coordinate the efforts to interlink domestic payment systems for cross-border payments with competitive foreign exchange conversion. So basically the Holy Grail is this, but for CBDCs. So it's the last thing that they list. at the beginning here, which is interlinked CBDC with foreign exchange conversion layer right there. And that's going to be the end goal. And that's, to me, will be when we have that deep liquidity pool where the Holy Grail is realized. And that deep liquidity pool is going to be connected. It's going to be XRP connected via Interledger to all the ledgers out there. And then you have XR. It's great. Like, it's all lining up for that to be the case. And then Stellar is going to play a role in XRP. That's all we see. Those two, XRP, Stellar, and all the documents. And I believe Stellar has deep connections with the same kind of people that Ripple does as well too. It only makes sense since Jed McCaleb started Ripple first and went to Stellar. So there's definitely bigger things at play here. We're just here for the ride, and definitely some exciting times are ahead, 2023 and beyond. So, and then if we resort back to that document by the ITU, which is like the United Nations kind of sponsored, you have interoperability scenarios at the global level. You have bilateral interoperability, and that's what it would look like. Regional solutions that establish bilateral interoperability, non-interoperability, where none of them kind of connect to each other. Then you have hub and spoke interoperability. National and regional solutions establish interoperability via an international switch. So an international central hub. And then central platform, one single international solution. So I believe this is their Holy Grail, this scenario right here. This is like the one before it, domestic payment systems connecting to that global hub. And then this is like the worst kind of situation. And this is kind of like where we're at the moment, I believe, or we're heading into this phase, the hub and spoke interoperability. And ultimately we're going to end up at one single international solution. It's crazy to think about, but I mean, they're laying it out here. They've been working on it for a long time. So there needs to be relevant standards in place, and that's what we see here, the CLS rulebook. We see the ISO 222, IBAN numbers, ISIN numbers. There needs to be global formatting for this to all take place, for a standardization and a harmonization to happen in these messaging formats. So that covers that. And now we can go into, so this is Mark Carney. He was the former Bank of England, the governor of the former governor of Bank of England. Now he's, I believe, the governor in Canada, I believe. Let me look that up real quick. Oh, I'm sorry. He was the governor of the Bank Canada in 2008, 2013, and then the governor of Bank of England from 2013 to 2020. And since October 2020, he's been kind of behind the scenes vice chairman and head of impact investing at Brookfield Asset Management or something. But if we go here and read what he was saying back when he was at the Bank of Canada, he's talking about global liquidity, that deep global liquidity pool, the Holy Grail that they're all looking for. November of 2011, November 8. Let's go down and see what he's saying here. So in the conclusion here, it says the G20's financial reform agenda, once fully implemented, will dampen global private liquidity cycles. Measures that increase the resilience of financial institutions, such as the new Basel III capital and liquidity standards, will reduce the probability and frequency of a sudden liquidity shock. Measures that reduce the procyclicality of the financial system will help stabilize global liquidity flows. Key elements in this regard include countercyclical capital buffers and the implementation of more resilient financial market infrastructure, reductions in the variability of repo margins, and other macro-prudential policies such as loan-to-value ratios and property markets. Of course, the impact of the financial reforms will be weakened to the extent that new regulations divert activity to unregulated parts of the financial system. Particularly in boom periods, non-regulated institutions tend to take on the increasing share of intermediation and cross-border credit provision. This is why enhanced supervision and regulation of shadow banking will be one of the top priorities of the FSB in the coming months. In this respect, we need to heed one of the lessons of this halt. It will do no good to tightly regulate a market only to see the bulk of activity flee beyond our reach. There we go. So that's why when they're doing or trying to decide these frameworks and international or regulations, they're talking about having to form an international committee or an international liquidity hub or international central bank or international regulatory reform committee on crypto. And that's what we're going to see play out. It's not going to be an individual country thing. It's going to be a global agreement on this stuff. And then we can see here, December of 2021, interoperability between systems across borders, everything that the Holy Grail is saying. Whenever they're talking about this, talking about the Holy Grail. And this is 9 pages long. It's talking about key takeaways. Interoperability among payment systems as the foundation for enhancing cross-border payments requires technical, semantic, and business system compatibility so that end users can seamlessly transact with each other across systems. Public and private sector options in pursuing cross-border payment systems interoperability can be illustrated using 4 stylized models, ordered in increasing complexity and costs, but also great efficiency, a single access point, bilateral link, hub, and spoke, or a common platform. The BIS Innovation Hub is putting theory into practice with several innovative projects to foster interoperability across the 4 stylized models. An ambitious multi-year G20 program to enhance cross-border payments is underway. Let's see if we can get a timeline in here real quick. ISO 222 is playing a big role, as we already know. So in here, it talks about the benefits of interoperability and enhancing cross-border payments and reducing costs differs across the 4 models and across pairs of grouping of participating jurisdictions. Additionally, policymakers must decide whether to pursue an incremental or a big bang approach. I would love the big bang approach. I'm sure we all would. And a regional or global approach. Imagine a global big bang approach. It'd be crazy. A big bang approach may be costlier, but more successful in achieving critical mass. Similarly, increasing interoperability within a region may be achievable relatively quickly, but may inadvertently slow down global interoperability. The terms of the trade-offs for each of the 4 models can be organized along the dimensions outlined in Table 1. Final choices will depend on an individual jurisdiction, circumstances, and policy preferences, as well as technological developments. And then it goes into, for a conclusion, with a coordinated and sustained initiative supported by both private and public sectors, we can expect to see the necessary improvements and the development of a broad range of cross-border payment services to support the changing ways we live and transact. Failure to achieve these goals has material costs, carrying with it the risk of fragmenting the global financial systems. The stakes are high. And that's what brings us into this article. This article was back in July 13 of this year, and it's from the BIS. The CPMI and IOSCO published final guidance on stablecoin arrangements, confirming application of principles for financial market infrastructures. And they're saying they issued their final guidance on stablecoin arrangements and having them apply to systemically important stablecoin arrangements that transfer stablecoins. Guidance is a major step forward in applying same risk, same regulation to stablecoins and extending the international standards for payments, clearing, and settlement systems to cover systematically important stablecoin arrangements. So I believe that what Ripple's providing, what Stellar's providing, these type of these public payment systems and these infrastructures, which transfer and clear and settle these stablecoin arrangements, will be labeled under this final guidance as systemically important stablecoin arrangements. So that ties into it as well too, because of the fragmenting of the system. If they don't implement this, it could be costly as far as the impact of the fragmented payment systems, the global liquidity crunch, etc. So interesting stuff, guys. A lot of things. I'm going to cover this one more in depth here. The fit for purpose payment system interoperability, a framework. I'll cover that in a video coming up next week. So we'll do a deep dive on that, along with the World Economic Forum one about interoperability as well too. So if you haven't already, click subscribe, click the bell, get notified real time, and join the Discord. The link will be in the bio. Come on in, join there, say what up. I'll say what up too. As well as don't forget, January 1st, this ends the free Crypto Masterclass Accelerator. It's literally going to give you all the keys that you need to really level up your understanding of the opportunity at hand here and really understand kind of what all these things mean and why it's so important at a kind of an investor standpoint and why we're investing in what we're investing in and why we're kind of following along with this stuff. So definitely make sure you get that before we shut that down for the end of the year. And yeah, that's it for this video, guys. I will see you in the Discord.